Now let's talk about using LaTeX to give seminar presentations. Right, LaTeX was originally designed for the printed paper, but it's a very flexible package, so it can certainly present really good presentations for a seminar for projections. So let's see that. While we're here, just always remember when you're giving a presentation, the 3 rules: be forthright, be brief, be seated, which somehow I always seem to forget, but never mind. Let's move on. What about the documents? Well, you're preparing something to project onto a screen in front of your audience. There are 2 viable extremes, as well as many possibilities in between. But let's just talk about 2. There is a document class called Beamer, which you use instead of article or report. And it can produce a visual, as I say, a visual kaleidoscope to delight the presenter of a talk. Note I said presenter. I didn't say it delights the audience. Frankly, as an audience member, I don't care what your slides look like in terms of colour, backgrounds, whatever. What I want is the information. So your task is to present the information, not to have colourful boxes, and certainly not to have dancing things or moving things or blinking things. So the alternative is to use standard LaTeX to easily produce a clean looking document to project for your audience. All right, it won't have whistles and bells, but in terms of conveying information, that's fine. Actually, you're the presenter, you're out the front, you're providing the whistles and bells. If anything, you want the document that's projected to be visually boring, which is what I recommend. Nonetheless, Beamer is the method of choice for most people. Yeah, people like bling, generating things with bling. It's not clear that it helps the reader. So I've got an example template for you. You can download it. And where is it? I've already got it on my desktop. Here it is. In this example template, let's not have a look at the mechanisms. Let's just typeset it. And here it is. Where am I going to put it? Over there. There. Okay. As you can see from the typeset, it looks good. We have an appearance. We have a title slide, table of contents, in slides and sections. You can have theorems in there. Another section. You can have a slide where you build up information. See, this slide's got 2 lines. The next one is the same 2 lines and then a third. And the next one is the same 3 lines and then a figure. So it's facilities to help that. Put a conclusion in. And as always, when you're presenting a type, make sure you finish with a conclusion that's got information, an informative summary. Do not finish with a thank you. The reader can't take anything away from a thank you message. Do not finish with a list of references. Your reader cannot take anything away from a list of references. If they want a reference, they'll ask you afterwards. Finish with information. All right, so that's good. Beam is pretty flexible, so you can have various styles, and I've used a case statement to choose between 6. There's more than these. This Warsaw is very common, but I recommend you do not use it. Because it wastes a lot of stuff at the header. There's this navigation information at the top of every slide. I'll talk about that in a minute. But you see, it's got these nice boxes. Many people like that. That's good. Doesn't help your reader. Okay, so you can do it. Two problems with Beamer. Why? You have to learn and use many new commands that are unique to Beamer. Commands that you never use anywhere else. And there's no real reason for that, other than just the way they've written it. Furthermore, the source code is so specific for Beamer that you cannot practically use the source for any other purpose whatsoever. So it violates the basic idea of LaTeX, that you have one source, and from that source you generate multiple possible documents. Beamer talk is a Beamer talk, and that's it. You can't use it for anything else, not practically. So if you want to use Beamer, go for it, but I do not recommend it. Instead, I recommend a simpler alternative. But either way, remember, and this is what I commented on earlier, in many conference venues, they have flat floors and relatively low screens. So the bottom quarter to third of every one of your slides is going to be obscured for most of your audience, except the professors in the front row. So be prepared. Do avoid Beamer styles that waste the top quarter of a slide in useless navigation information, as in this Warsaw style. Yeah. So you're in a flat floor conference venue, your audience can't see anything down here, and you've wasted this amount of stuff on navigation. Don't do it. So what's the alternative? Alternative is use standard LaTeX. Use the commands you know about and commands that you can use wherever you use LaTeX. All you need to do is to use the geometry package to typeset onto sort of landscape paper, something wide and relatively short height. Okay, now modern projectors have an aspect ratio of 16:9. So you almost certainly will have to typeset to that aspect ratio. And that's what I did with a Beamer template. So this is the sort of thing you do. Document class 12-point article, so it's got all the things you're familiar with. Geometry package, tell it the paper width is 128 millimeters and the paper height is 72 millimeters. This is in the ratio 16:9 to fit a modern projector. Make the margin big enough to fit headers, which you can be a bit more refined than this, but roughly speaking, 7x. Remember, X is the height of a capital X, so if you're bigger font, you need bigger margins at the top and the bottom, so that'll do it. If you've got an old projector, it will be 4:3. Okay, so in which case, change the paper height to make it, say, bigger, 96 millimeters. So then 96 to 128 is 3:4 ratio. Of course, the key thing about these ratios is the ratio, so you can be flexible. If you make it bigger or smaller with care, bearing in mind your reader and in the venue. What else might you do in a presentation? You might force some page breaks to suit how you want to present. Now, typesetting a document, do not force page breaks. Let LaTeX decide. And that way it's flexible. But a talk presented by you is very different to a document to be read by others. Right? You're the person in charge, you're the presenter. So it's appropriate to allow you to use the \new page command where needed. A main place to need it is to make sure each section starts on a new page. Now, you can code that physically, but then it's not flexible. Or you can code it logically, and then it is flexible. And we know how to do that now. We can interfere with the LaTeX sectioning commands. All right, so we can let LTX sect point to \section, and then renew command \section to be new page followed by the original section command. So that means every section will start on a new page, but not subsections, nor subsections. So, okay, so I've got an example here. Where is it gone? Oh, that's right. So I've got an example here. Okay, yes, of doing this. And again, I've got a few alternatives which you can play with. Alternatives switched with an if case command. So if case 0 will do the stuff before the first \or. So this is what I recommended in there. And then I've got some material for a talk here. Typeset it. And you can see the result here. Title slide, it's actually split over 2, but we'll cope with that. Quote, abstract, table of contents, it's all there as per normal. Now, of course, you want to edit the content a bit so that you get the page breaks right. This is part of the fact that you've got to talk rather than a normal document. Yeah, you've got section headers. Note the section headers here starts on a new page. Same for section 2, wherever it is. In fact, I think the subsections do as well. We've got the page headers, which help the audience see where they've got to, and so on. All right, you can use any of the standard style files. So we can ref art, and this will be on a 4:3 aspect ratio to suit an old projector. Anyway, see the aspect ratio is different. And we fit the title slide all on the first slide easily. That's right. And the contents, and we've got hypertext links for navigation while you're talking, and so on. Figure environments all work. Footnotes, etc. You can even have 2 columns, and this is quite handy. 16 to 9, this is. 16 to 9 is so wide, but 2 columns is quite feasible for a talk. Yeah. And in this case, it typesets quite nicely the defaults. Of course, in a seminar, you wouldn't have so many words. It would be summary points rather than just the sentences and discussions I just copied from the Fractals course. But you get the idea. Okay, so I've made that point. So remember, less information per page. The normal rule is 6 lines or 6 words per line. I always give more than that, but it's up to your style. Landscape mode. In the landscape mode, the height is often the limitation with graphics, so you may have to scale the graphics based on the text height. Citation information. Don't wait for the end. Put them in footnotes. That would be my recommendation. And then if people say, oh, I want to look at that, they'll just scribble it down. And they can ask about you afterwards. And then lastly, the last slide is your conclusions. Has to be informative, not a meaningless thank you, nor a meaningless list of references. Okay, so we'll finish there.